What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this, I want to talk about what's happening with the overall market and why there's about to be a very, very big test, in my opinion, because SPY and the QQQ returned to their rising wedges. But instead of continuing to break out higher, we actually are starting to reject. Are we about to see a big rejection? Are we about to go higher? We have to wait and see. But there is a lot of trickery in the markets, and you have to be very, very careful. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or use my QR code right over here to sign up. Moomoo is an awesome global brokerage that's giving away free Nvda stock. If you guys sign up and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 worth of Nvda. Deposits $2,000 to get $50 worth of Nvda plus a $100 cash reward. Deposit $10,000 to get $300 worth of Nvidia stock plus $100, or deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia shares plus $100. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. And this offer ends very, very soon. So please check out my link down below to get these offers to get that free Nvidia stock with qualifying deposits. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the overall market. So the thing is, the market started off with this big push. We pushed in the pre-market to 665 on SPY, testing this rising wedge, which is what I was talking about yesterday. But instead of holding above this and just breaking out, we kind of rejected a bit. Now we're watching 662. If we hold 662, we could try to bounce, but in order for us to remain bullish, we have to hold 662. If we don't hold 662, we could be returning back down to like 660. If we hold 662, though, we could try to bounce back up, and we're going to be testing that as we open. So look at 662. We're going to see if we could bounce a little bit, and we have to hold above 665 plus to continue. But what might happen is we might kind of like pop a bit. Then we're going to see if we turn back down or not. Is this just a fake pump? Do we just push a little bit, bounce a bit, then start dumping? If 662 fails anytime in the next 4 hours, expect this to start dipping to 660 or below. But if 662 is, and if it holds, if we could hold this in the next 4 hours, then yes, we could try to bounce. We could try to go for like 664 all over again to fill this imbalance. And there's going to be hope for us, for us to remain bulls. So be very careful and look for a big test of 662. Can we hold this and go higher, or do we lose this in dumps? You want to be very careful nonetheless, and we'll have to see what happens from at least there on out. When it comes to other factors, the Fed have announced that they want to do a 25 basis point cut, and they've already done that. The markets kind of dipped when that news came out, but then during Jerome Powell's press conference, he caused the market to end up bouncing towards the end of the day as buyers came back. So that's the thing. Will the buyers defend 662 and cause us to bounce, or are we about to form some kind of top move? You want to be very, very careful nonetheless. So we'll see how it ends up going. Also, there is a higher probability now, and this is based off what the Fed's economic projections gave us, that we're going to get another cut likely in October, then another cut in December, 2 more cuts worth 25 basis points each, or 50 basis points worth of cuts for the rest of the year, one in October, one in December. That is very, very important. That has been helping the markets. Today is Thursday. We just got initial jobless claims alongside the Philly Fed data. Everything's pretty much close to expectations as the market tried to push higher. Then we have some bill auctions at 11:30 a.m. So we'll see what that leads to. So be very, very patient nonetheless. And I think it's very, very important for us to be, very stern and to be very, very careful. But there's not really much significant data coming out, at least for the rest of the day, besides a couple of bill auctions. I think what's going to matter more is just following the price action. Then we're going to see what kind of reaction we get to FOMC. The move we saw yesterday is not always the full-on reaction. Sometimes we get a delayed reaction. Sometimes the market's very, very tricky. And that's why it's best to be patient and watch your levels and then play the price action in front of you. That's why I call out these levels, and that's why I do want to warn you all to be very, very careful. For other tickers out there, we also happen to have, SPY's options chain. Keep in mind, we have lots of option expirations tomorrow. We have quadruple witching. That could also affect volatility. I'll talk more about that later. We have FedEx announcing its earnings later on, and that's pretty much it. Nothing else that's too crazy. So the Fed have once again caused a lot of volatility in markets. We dipped, then got bought back up. Jerome Powell made it very clear the Fed has to manage risks and be careful, and they're going to be taking things one meeting at a time to address the current interest rate situation. And that's going to be very, very important for how we end up moving, at least moving forward. So with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of you guys' days. And I'm just going to conclude the video by talking about what's happening with these charts. As far as SPY is going, we're watching the 662 area. We could try to bounce a little bit, but then if we ultimately lose this, I do expect us to dip to 660 again for a temporary pullback move. If we hold 662 and on the 4-hour close, we just keep pushing higher, we could try to get back up close to all-time highs. Be very careful, guys. Let's see if we hold this on the 4-hour basis. If we don't, we might consolidate here, then eventually start dipping. So be very, very careful and watch that 662 area. Can we hold or not? I think it's going to be very, very key for how we end up moving. We gapped up, made new all-time highs, but keep in mind that we're still technically respecting this rising wedge-like pattern. We went back in the wedge, just got a rejection. So could that be a sign the wedge is going to pan out and we're about to get downside? It all depends. Can we hold 662 or not? If not, do expect some downside to 660. So be very, very careful. On the QQQ, we also retested our wedge. See the rising wedge we had all these weeks. We need to break past 596 to continue to be bullish. If we don't hold above this, we could actually dip to fill this gap back down to 592. And we're going to see if that holds or not. Otherwise, we could be dipping to like 589. So we are consolidating up here. We're going to see if we could hold above 594. If not, I expect 592, then 590, and we'll see if buyers defend or not. We're currently at 595 almost. If we lose 594, expect 592 or below. But if we break 596, we're bullish. I do think what's going to happen is we kind of dip to like 594. We bounce, consolidate, and we're going to see if we could break out or not. If not, we could be returning to like the lower 590s. So be very careful, especially since the rising wedge is still present. The IWM, it needs to hold above 240. If not, I could see us basically return to like 239 or below, and then we'll see if we bounce. So be very careful. ES is also dipping right here. We need to retest 66.72 and bounce. We got to bounce off 66.72. If it doesn't hold this, it could be dipping to 66.38. So be very, very careful. On NQ or the NASDAQ futures, you need to hold above essentially 24,700. If we can't, there's going to be a risk of 24,500. We're going to see if we bounce off that. If not, we could be dipping as well. Bitcoin is looking decent. We're trying to hold above 117,200. If that holds, we could be going higher. If not, we're looking for 116,400 next. Tesla's going to dip to 425. We need to hold 425 to bounce, to continue to break out for 435 to 440. If 425 fails, still we could be dipping back down to like 415. So watch 425 to see if it holds. If not, we could be dipping lower for 415. For Nvda, this looks like it's going to be favoring 175. We need to break 176. Break 176 for bullish, but if we can't break this trend line, we could still turn back down, especially as we have this gap to fill. So it depends. Can we break past this trend line or not? We're going to likely test it for 176, and we'll see if we turn or not. If we do fail to break this, we might return to fill that gap at 171. Apple's looking decent. It's been trying to climb a little bit higher, but keep in mind we still have a rising wedge-like pattern. We need to hold above 240. If 240 does not hold, there's going to be a risk of us returning to like 237. So watch 240. If we hold 240 on for 4 hours, we're bullish. If not, we're looking for 237 all over again. For Palantir, we have 171 as our resistance. If we can't hold that, there's a gap to fill at 168. There is a risk of us returning to 168 in my personal opinion if we can't hold support, so be very careful. AMD is rejecting, could be dipping back down to 149. We got some negative news involving China. Look for 149. We'll see if we bounce. If not, we could be dipping more. 149, we could see a small bounce there, but if it doesn't hold, we're dipping more. Coinbase needs to hold above 328. If it doesn't hold, we're looking for that gap fill around 322. Amazon has a head and shoulders like pattern. We're going to be watching for a test of 231. It needs to hold. If not, we're looking for a bigger move down. Meta could be retesting 769. Google might be dipping back down to like 248. And then we'll see if it bounces. And then Microsoft might be retesting 509 before. And then we're going to see if it bounces or not. The VIX is tricky. There's a big gap to fill. Is the VIX about to like reject off 15 and consolidate and then dip as the market goes higher? Or does the VIX start to reaccumulate and start bouncing back up again to fill this gap? That could be a sign the market's about to form a top and see another dip temporarily. So we'll see if SPY is about to come down or not. We're barely holding that 662 support. And once again, we're going to be watching to see if we bounce a little bit by open, but be careful at 662. If we lose that later on, this could dump, but if it holds, we could still bounce, try to go back up to all-time highs. So it all depends on 662. Be patient, guys, and watch your levels. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.